Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we're going to do some subtracting fractions problems today. So that's exciting. That's exciting. We'll start, and they're all going to be unlike denominators, all 728 that we do in class today. Let's take 7/8, subtract 2/3. Leilani, can I subtract those how they're written? No, why not? The denominators are different. Now, luckily, you have a multiplication chart, and you can look for the least common denominator. I don't have one right now, so I would have to take my 8 and my 3, and I'd go down, and I'd keep going until I found the first one that shows up in both rows, and that is going to be what, Kara?
18.
No, nothing times 8 equals 18. Maddie D?
No.
24. So my least common denominator would be 24. If I didn't have a multiplication chart, I could just keep going here until I found 24 is the first one that showed up in both. So now I need to change both these fractions so that they have a denominator of 24. I need to make these fractions equivalent, meaning I cannot change the value of the fractions. So Ava, what do I multiply by 8 to get 24? 8 times what? 3. If I multiply my denominator, I must also multiply my numerator. 8 times 3 is 24. Ava, 7 times 3 is? 21. I must multiply 2/3 to give me an equivalent fraction that has a denominator of 24. Eli A, what am I going to multiply by? 8. Whatever I do to the denominator, I must also do to the numerator. And my new numerator is what, Eli A?
16.
16. Now I know my denominator is going to be 24, and my answer, please, always, for the love of Pete, pay attention to the sign. Please, for the love of Pete, pay attention to the sign. Maddie, you, what is 21 24s minus 16 24s?
That is...
That doesn't even make sense. I can't write my brain's fried today as the numerator. Liam? 5 24s. That's a good question, Jaden. Jaden wants to know if this can be simplified. Well, to simplify it, we got to find the greatest common factor of 5 and 24. You know, common means they have the same as a factor. Well, we know our factors of 5 are just 1 and 5 because it's a, what kind of number? Prime. That's good. 24, we have 1 and 24. It's even, so I know 2 times 12. The digits add up to 6, because 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 is a multiple of 3, so I know 3 times 8. 4 times 6. I know it's times 6 because 2 and 3 are factors of 24, so 6 has to be a factor of 24. What do they have in common, Jackson? Anything else, Jackson?
That they have
in common in these two lists here. Excellent. They just have a 1 in common. If they only have a 1 in common, that is your least common denominator. Your least common denominator. Let's look at one more. Fraction, adding and subtracting fractions is really pretty easy. It takes us quite a few steps, but, you know, it's not problems you should miss if you're willing to work it out and not try and do it in your head like a knucklehead. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Oh, let's take 5/7 minus, let's do 1/8. 5/7 subtract 1/8. Now, luckily, you have a multiplication chart you can look at to find your least common denominator. Find your least common denominator. So who can tell me when they look at the multiplication chart what the least common denominator is? Luke?
Is it 56?
It is 56. That means I need to change both of these fractions so that they have a denominator of 56 without changing their values. So I ask Jaden, what do I multiply by 7 to get 56? 7 times what equals 56?
8.
8. If I multiply my denominator by 8, I must also multiply my numerator by 8. And Jaden, 5 times 8 is?
5 times 8 is 40.
40. And what do I multiply Zoe times 8 to get 56? 7. If I multiply my denominator by 7, I must also multiply my numerator by 7. And Zoe, 1 times 7 is? 7. Now I go back and I look and make sure I look at my sign. Please, in the past, 17% of the problems that are missed in my class when we're adding and subtracting fractions are missed because they don't look at the sign. They do the wrong operation. Don't be the wrong operationer. That would be sad. Now we have 40/56 minus 7/56, and we call on Joe. The answer is?
Wait, what?
40/56 minus 7/56.
Oh.
33/56. 33/56. Now we need to see if we can simplify it. 33 doesn't have many factors, so I'm going to do that one real quick. 1 times 33 and 3 times 10. So now let's look. Is 3 a factor of 56? Does 3 go into 56 evenly? What else did I miss? Oh, 3 times 11. No, not 10. Does 3 go into 56 evenly? I don't know. I don't want to do the math. Well, what's 5 plus 6? 11. Is 11 a multiple of 3? No. Does 11 go into 56?
No.
Does 33 go into 56?
No.
No. So that means it's already in simplest terms. So that would be la respuesta correcta. The great thing is if you can add and subtract fractions and you feel pretty comfortable and you're pretty good at that, multiplying and dividing fractions is even easier. So if you get your mind wrapped around adding and subtracting fractions, multiplying and dividing fractions is way, way easier.
Nah.
You don't know, you've never done it. Shaka-laka boom, subscribe.